Dear friends and viewers, good day. The Gambler, written by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky, a well-known Russian novelist and a well-known Russian writer, is well-known for his the novel The Idiot, The Brothers Karamazov, The Crime and Punishment, and many other remarkable novels. So today we will talk about The Gambler, written by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It is published in 1866, The Gambler. So The Gambler is written in 1866, novel by Fyodor Dostoevsky. The novel begins as Alexei Ivanovich, the novel's narrator, returns to the gambling resort town of Rotlenburg, where he has been tutoring for an aristocratic Russian family headed by a former general. Alexei is in love with General's stepdaughter, Polina, but believes that he is not wealthy enough to marry her. When the general's aunt arrives and gambles away Paulina's and the general's inheritance, Paulina's wealthy suitor, a Frenchman named Marquis de Groux, abandons her, trying to seize his chance. Alexei plays roulette, attempting to win enough money for Paulina to accept him. Alexei wins huge sums, but Paulina believes that Alexei is trying to buy her love and thus leaves him for a wealthy Englishman, Mr. Astley. Alexei goes to Paris with the general's fiancée, who spent all his money. The novel ends with Alexei meeting Astley in another German gambling town a year later, where Astley tells him that Paulina still loves Alexei. However, Alexei has by now become addicted to gambling and is unable to pursue Paulina. So what happened that Alexei Ivanovich, the novel's narrator, returned to German gambling resort, while after returning to Rothenburg after 2 weeks' absence, there he has been working as a tutor for a Russian family, the head of whom is a retired general. The general, while of aristocratic lineage, is in debt to a Frenchman attached to their party, Marquis de Groux. The general is also in love with a young French woman, Mademoiselle Blanche. However, Blanche will only marry the general when his sick aunt in Moscow has died and he is able to claim the inheritance. Meanwhile, Alexei is in love with general's stepdaughter, Paulina. Paulina is in debt to an unknown person, and she gives Alexei money to gamble with and win for her at roulette. Alexei loses everything that she gives him. When Alexei tells Paulina that he can only win when he needs the money himself, Paulina asks why he needs money. Alexei says it is so that he can become a different person in her eyes, which Paulina sees as Alexei wanting to buy her respect. She therefore tests Alexei's love by asking him to insult a baroness near the casino. When Alexei does so, risking a complaint, potential scandal, the general dismisses Alexei because of a complaint from Baroness' husband. In response, Alexei promised to confront the Baron. In chapter 7 to 12, this Groux goes to see Alexei on a general's behalf to ask him to call off his plan to see the Baron. He tells Alexei that general is willing to reinstate him if he relents. When this does not work, Groux gives Alexei a note from Paulina asking him to abandon his plan, which makes Alexei agree. Later that day, Alexei meets Mr. Astley, an Englishman attached to their group, who explained to him why the general is so concerned about the Baron. The reason is that previous year Blanche had been told to leave the casino after she had lost all her money, then asked the Baron to stake money for her, eliciting a complaint from the Baroness. As such, the General wants to avoid attention from the Baron as it could cause a scandal for Blanche, and therein the General marriage to her. The General aunt then arrives and starts playing roulette. At first winning large sums, she became obsessed with gambling, though going back to gambling tables and losing all her money. The day after the arrival of General's aunt, known as Grandmother, Paulina shows Alexei a letter for Desgrieux. In it, Desgrieux says that he cannot marry her because of the loss of grandmother's inheritance and hence his financial ruin. As the General cannot pay back the money he owes him, Desgrieux offered to return to Paulina a mortgage worth of 50,000 francs, the value of her dowry which the General had squandered. Paulina sees this as evidence that Desgrieux is only interested in her to improve his financial situation and wishes to throw the 50,000 francs back in his face to save Paulina's honor by getting the money to return to Desgrieux and to become rich enough to marry her. Alexei plays roulette. He wins 200,000 francs and tries to give 50,000 francs to Paulina, however. After spending the night with Alexei, she throws the money in his face, saying him as no different than Desgrieux, and runs off to Mr. Astley. Having heard about his winning, Blanche invites Alexei to go with her to Paris. Alexei agrees and spends 3 weeks with her, becoming depressed by experience. Alexei then goes to Homburg and Rothenburg before after time in prison, going back to Homburg where he becomes addicted to gambling. There he meets Ashley, who has been sent by Paulina to tell Alexei that she loved him. Alexei thus resolved to quit Homburg and gambling and find Paulina. However, the memory of an occasion won he big with his last few guide, Golden causes him to remain in the town for another day gambling. So this is the story of the Gambler by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And before this, we should also analyze the theme of this novel, The Gambler. The theme in this novel is involved the genesis and consequences of gambling addiction, how we enter into the gambling and how he became addicted. When Alexei enters the gaming room in Rothenburg for the first time, he says that contrary to the claims of Russian newspaper that talked about their splendor, there's absolutely no magnificence to be found in these rubbishy rooms. Not only are there no piles of gold on the table, as the papers say, but the whole affair seems sordid and dirty. People crowd around the table, anxiously watching a ball spin around the wheel and stealing from each other a slight chance. They scream and shout and become upset or elated at the mere call of the number. All of which raises the question as to why the activity is so popular. Even more troubling, this observation raises the question of how large number of people, including intelligent one like Alexei, can become addicted to such an apparently arbitrary pastime. The Gambler managed to show how this is possible, drawing on Fyodor Dostoevsky's own experiences with gambling. The novel traces how one can become drawn into a dangerous and often inescapable addictive cycle. The first thing to note is that money itself is not the root of the problem. While the need or desire for money may be that what pushes someone to gamble in the first place. Its practical value is really the primary thing that keeps people coming back. So this is the theme of this novel, and the major character involved is this novel is this Alexei himself and the other character. So the gambler is also one of the famous novel written by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and Dostoevsky is no doubt a great genius, universal genius, and a Russian writer. So people say that this novel, The Gambler, Dostoevsky predicts its own life while he was also indulged and involved in gambling. So, ladies and gentlemen, this novel, The Gambler, is one of the best also of the Fyodor Dostoevsky's. I hope you will find it very interesting.